We have Dr. Arvind Singh as a guest speaker today. He's going to talk about student-centric learning, India's step ahead in nation building. A little brief about Arvindji. Arvindji, though he has delivered one session before, this is for the new joiners today. I'd like to give a brief about Dr. Arvind Singh. Dr. Arvind Singh is working as assistant professor grade 2 in Department of Physics in Guru Nanak Khalsa College, Mumbai. He has completed his Masters in Science and MSc and Bachelor in Education, Ph.D.
Thank you so much for your. So today my topic is student-centric learning, and which is very important, and this is what is going to take India towards ahead. So the title, as suggested by Abhimanyu sir, is student-centric learning, India's step ahead in nation building. This is very important in the context of current scenario which is going on, where we have been following national education policy which is being launched. And in short, national education policy is very much similar to our old ancient Gurukul system, where more focus is towards the student's learning and making him self-reliant or self-dependent. So as you can see, this is just a animation of solar system. So this somewhat like knowledge is at the center in our sense, and students are trying to get around the knowledge rather than going around the teacher. First, few slides, I will give brief introduction to my college. I belong to Guru Nanak Khalsa College. I am from Department of Physics. And you can see the picture of my college from outside. And my college is one of the oldest college in Mumbai, which was built in 1935. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar had requested SGPC to do something for people. So SGPC from Punjab, they opened a college in Mumbai, which is the first college in Mumbai. So Guru Nanak Khalsa College, we provide world-class multidisciplinary education research, and we also focus on computational material science. We have quite a good national level labs like NFB, National Facility for Biopharmaceuticals, JNRD, Bioanalytical, Bioinformatics, and Nanotechnology labs. So we focus mostly on education of students for future scientists. We try to have knowledge transfer and networking activities related to research. We deal with creation and distribution of useful tools for research applications. So we are not only the traditional way of teaching graduates or undergraduates their syllabus, but we are also involved into many other fields of such, which is on the slide. So we collaborate, we try to transfer the knowledge, and also we deal with active research. Now, I have three slides, three pictures on this. So this is the scenario of today's learner, right? So you can see in the first one how the learner is interacting with different people. Although this is taken from some hospital data, but just ignore this. So we can see our learner is coming into contact with different people, different area, different system, different things. So learner is very active now because of the fast communication, because of the telephone, or because of satellite communication. So student is not only virtually connected, but physically also the movement has become very easy. In a day, you are in suppose India today, in the evening, you can reach to some other country. Now, what is happening is because of this, our learner, you can see the small child, how he's focusing, trying to read. So is our learner also very much enthusiastic, full of zeal. But imagine if this goes on continuing, this learner will get tired. And our learners are also very active nowadays. See, you know very well when we teach, our learners are already on the mobile Wikipedia or something, maybe before lecture or after lecture. So the learner in current scenario consists of these things: actively movement of virtual, physical and virtual, involved in a lot of reading and teaching activities, and very active. So what is the expectation of learner in current scenario? That is very important. We always deal about what the teacher wants, how the teacher wants, what the college wants, and how the college wants. Now the time has come where we want to focus, we have to focus more on expectation of the learner. Now, herein we can see that one of the instructor is showing the student about formation of bonds in a particular molecule. This is what the student now wants. It was earlier days when the teacher used to say, the student used to say in books, read, write, try to visualize. So now that try word has been gone out. It is clear visualization of the concept, which is possible due to the development of the technology. Now, when we talk about student-centric learning, what it means. Before I further go, I will give my whole credit to my whole lecture to ISER Pune, Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, Maharashtra State Faculty Development Academy, and Maharashtra State D. And one of our instructor coordinator, Mr. Asim Manwa, and one more, all the team, okay, which I did training the last 10 days. Okay, so I'll go further. So student-centric learning is actually empowering students to shape their own education. In an era which has been defined by its fast-paced and intellectually dynamic people, education system seem to have fallen behind, unable to adequately respond to the needs of our modern society. So the current scenario, we need to focus more on students. See, now what we have to do is we have to involve the student, which is called as engagement. We can not only deal with like sitting, the student is sitting, the teacher is talking and going. No, we have to deal with the techniques where there is more involvement or engagement of the student. The engagement of the student in terms of his views, the engagement of the student in terms of what he's thinking, what he wants, what are his questions, what are his doubts and everything. And when we deal with the real engagement of the student, then there will be empowerment. Engagement emphasis more on the thinking or the value of the student. Last I was attending conferences, so I asked one of my colleagues, few of colleagues who were in abroad, what is the difference between the Indian student and the foreign student? So he just gave an example of his daughter, who is in 7th or 8th. He said the difference between Indian study and foreign study is that in foreign, students are first taught to be confident. When they are in kindergarten, they are being taught to be confident. They are not taught to be what is right or what is wrong. They are taught to be confident. And from there, their confidence level increases, and it increases in everything. So this is important. What we should do is we should always encourage our student in learning, encourage our student in many ways. And then we can teach him what we have to teach. So we need to have engagement of the student, and that will lead to the empowerment of the student. Now, student-centric learning, that is start of early learning to face real life situations. If education is indeed an attempt to solve problems around the world by bettering oneself and the world around us, then the student today should be inspired and motivated to use the knowledge they acquire during their school years to solve the real life problems. This is what national education policy is being. The national education policy has been dealing with teaching the student right from first standard, second standard, all year schooling time, to get involved into the real life situation or real life problem. So that is what the need of the hour. So I would call this as a SCL, that is student-centric learning, which is already been defined in one of the websites. So what does SCL look in practice? That is student-centric learning. Teachers, sir, my voice is proper, right?
Yeah, clear.
Okay.
Clear.
Yes, sir.
Teachers are increasingly adopting the student-centric learning methods by applying technology. As I said, the technology has become very important part. So teachers are applying technology to enrich each student's learning journey in the classroom, right? So what we are doing is we are making the teacher-centric learning towards student-centric learning. So when there is more of student-centric learning, from compliance, it will go to engagement. From engagement, it will go to empowerment. And the student will be self-sufficient or self-dependent. I have one small animation which you must have also seen in the WhatsApp world. There's a small boy who is just trying to take the knowledge and putting onto himself. This is just a joke, but I just thought to add it. It is not exactly what was happening, but you can see somewhat like this, how the student, a small child, is making fun that I'm just by hurting these things easily. So when you talk about teacher-centric, the situation will be like this. The student will not understand the actual need. I don't know what was the context of this video. Let us keep aside and just take my views. So if this is the teacher-centric, then the student will also behave like this. But what if we have student-centric? If we have student-centric, then you see a popular youngest professor in world, like Isaac, his name is, right? 9 years old. So more and more such students will come up, they will learn with their pace, they will come in the real life. Now, what HCL matters? Studies have shown that when students are given the opportunity to shape their own learning, they become trailblazers using their curiosity as their compass to solve real world problems. I will repeat that when the students are given opportunity to learn by their own way, they are given the opportunity to shape their own learning, they are better. And this is published in 2003 paper. Now, student-centric learning ultimately allows students to participate in the decision-making process of their education. That is what they learn and how they learn, driven directly from their passions, abilities, and needs. I would like to give an example now. The current NEP, which is to be implemented in our college from first year, next year. So we have to make syllabus, and the student will have one major subject, one minor subject, one OE, that is optional elective, So the student will select a major subject. For example, he want to do physics. He want to pass the graduation with physics. Then he will select on minor subject. Suppose he wants the minor as chemistry. Someone might like maths. Someone might like botany or zoology. The student can take anything. Let us take an example where the student is taking physics and chemistry in the first. And then he can go for one course of elective where he will take obviously suppose maths. Let us assume he wants to be a scientist in physics type subject. So obviously he will try to take maths or botany also. Now, when he goes to the second year, he will given an option to flip his major and minor. But at the end of the year, the student thinks, okay, I don't like physics, I will go with the chemistry. So he can continue with the chemistry as the major subject. And apart from this one major, one minor, and one elective, the student has also to do one vocational learning course and one knowledge-centric course like ancient Ayurveda or ancient astrology like that. So here you can see that the student is not only being given options to select what he wants to study, the student is also given options of vocational courses where he can do a course of economics, where he can do a course of psychology in electives. So like this, the students are given opportunity now. So this is what the national education policy is doing, student-centric, giving the student opportunity the way he wants to. And more we'll talk further also. Now this. So I'll give an example of flipped classroom. Now what I'm doing is I'm distributing my talk into small packets of student-centric learning method. I'm not going by the traditional way of how teaching is done by a way educational institutes like B.Ed or M.Ed are done. Instead of that, I'm just putting a small packet. So one of the very effective way, which I liked from the 10 days, which is not able to collect the instructor inside, the flipped classroom. See, what happens in a flipped classroom? This is a traditional mode of teaching. Input, the instructor, the teacher is the instructor, is giving instruction to the students. And then the student studies. This is the output. So this is the input and this is the output. But in a flipped classroom, for example, you show the student a video or you give the student a video, YouTube video. Now, due to the online, due to this COVID, we have got lots of good material uploaded on the net, right? So we can give a student, suppose black holes. I can give a student a small video of black holes. I'm to teach in black holes or universe. So I will give him the video. All the students at their home, they will see the video and they will come to the classroom. So what will happen? The students will discuss among themselves as well as with the teacher. So this is the flipped classroom, which is student-centric learning. This is an animation where it is shown that the teacher first is telling the student to read from the book about human body or human cells. And then this is a flipped classroom where teacher is actually showing him the body or the skeleton of a human body. So this type of learning is to be increased more. So self-belief and hard work will always earn you success, right? It is famous quote by VK. What we need to do is we need to practice. That is the only way by which we can achieve success or we can understand things is to practice, is to write, is to by heart, is to do that. Is not enough. We have to write what we are writing. We have to imagine what we are imagining. We have to perform also, right? Good things come to those who wait is the proverb. But now we have to say good things come to those who work for their assets off and never give up. So this is the essence of constructivist theory of learning. Like we have to get involved into it. We have to put efforts. We have to practice. Now what is done in instructor centered? When the teacher centered learning is there, what happens? Standard course of learning is done. A textbook is chosen. Then syllabus is created. Then lecture are prepared, given notes are prepared, PowerPoint presentation nowadays. A PPT is the worst now. The PPT which has been introduced or used by teachers more and more in this COVID lockdown is now becoming very bad tool for teaching. We teachers most of the time are just preparing the PPT, going in the class, running, lecture over. This is the outcome of this COVID season teaching. So PPT is the worst. Many students are hating this nowadays. And then write homework and exams questions and also this is instructor-centered learning. Now when we go backward design, right? Student-centric, what it is? Formulate broad learning goals, like what we want to teach the student. Suppose we want to teach the student of green energy or renewable energy. So we will deal with the farming. Okay, we are focusing on more on solar energy, solar panels. Then we will be like set specific learning objectives, like the student should understand how the solar panels are made, what are the different properties important for having more efficiency of the solar panels. Then design assignment, formative and summative. Formative means the normal ways and submissions also. So this assignments will be made of whether the student, how the student is able to understand semiconductor materials, whether the student is able to differentiate between p-type and n-type, whether the student is able to form the p-n junction, understand forward and reverse biasing, or IV curve of the solar panel or this p-n junction. This is what assignment has given, or learning objectives also involved. Then prepare learning activities. This is more of dealing with practicals or seeing the videos and all. And then when we formulate this becomes more of student-centric. So we can have such things, such activities involved in our teaching learning. Now, there is also one way called as collaborative learning. That was active learning. Now, this is another way, collaborative learning. What we are doing now is we are collaborating, right? One way we are collaborating, we are increasing our group, right? Just from normal physics or normal science, we are being also going into the field of education. We are going into the field of society or sociology or right social life, right? We are dealing with philosophical things and all. So collaborative learning is more of collaborative peoples, like people who are having philosophy of interaction, a community, group activity. We have peers and we are responsible for an action. So when we are collaborating, for example, we are having 2 or more people coming together and learning. What we can do is in our class, we can distribute the student into different groups and we can have certain debate. So the group will have this responsibility for their actions. They will respect each other. Also, some students have dilemma to talk with others. So this all will decrease when we have collaborative learning. Now, benefits of collaborative learning is make students proactive during the learning process, helps them learn others' perspectives and views. See, nowadays students are becoming very stubborn. They are not able to listen to anyone. So when such collaborative learning is there, they will try to understand. They are forced to understand other people's views also. Helps them develop their thinking abilities, builds the habit of thinking and giving constructive criticism, builds public speaking and active listening skills, helps students to develop team working capability. So this was about collaborative learning. So we can have active learning, collaborative learning, but in overall all this, we should also decide of what the learner is thinking. So we should also deal with little bit psychology of the learner. Now, the psychology, which also deals with the behaviorism of the student, is because of the consequences. Like now, if the consequences are pleasant or satisfying, organism would likely learn the behavior or that behavior. If the consequences are unpleasant or punishing, the organism, here we are using the word because it is related to a psychological theory. Organism means it can be anything, even a single cell to a human body, right? So if the consequences are unpleasant or punishing, this organism would not like to repeat it. So there is one famous Russian physiologist, Ivan Pavlov. He has done an experiment. So what he did, there is a dog and he keeps food in front of him. So when he keeps food in front of the dog starts giving out saliva. Like, he was response. There was a stimulus of showing him food and the dog is showing the response of trying to show that he automatically from his body it comes. Okay. Now what is done? Conditioning is done. Before conditioning, what happens? Pavlov also rings a bell and sees whether the dog is salivating or not. So the dog doesn't salivate, he's just standing there. This is one, this is second. Now what is done? This is before conditioning. Now what Pavlov did, he rang the bell and gave the food. So when he rang the bell, gave the food, the dog was already being involved into this situation where the food comes and he starts salivating or his response comes up. Now here what is happening, he rings the bell and gives the food. So he kept on doing this repeated times. So what happens? Once what he did not keep the food, he just rang the bell and he could see that the dog was salivating or saliva was coming from his food. So what is happening? It is like, changing his, conditioning. So the same way as this study is also done on horses, rats and all that. There may be where you can come across video of horse, like, who has been trained, like, and things were kept on it. But then the trainer does acting like something is kept, and that horse just like goes as if something is tied to his nose or something. So you can see, unconditioned stimulus, response, then bell is rang, he doesn't do anything, but now he's been conditioned several times. So next time when the bell goes, he starts salivating. Okay. So this is what we can teach the student. Classical conditioning is called as. It can have a behaviorism change. Okay, we have 15 more minutes. So I'll just try to wind up.
Now we can do this in class, or even we can do this in home also, like help students to begin like certain aspect of college subject. For example, Gaur Gopal Ganesh, famous speaker and saint, like he gave an example that his one of the friend asked that he want to quit cigarette. So he said, Ki, how many cigarettes you smoke? He said 64. He said, no need to quit cigarette. Why are you quitting the cigarette? 64 cigarettes, no need. But what you do is, you try to reduce it to 62. And slowly, slowly you reduce it to 60, then 58. So slowly, slowly what happens, his friend quit the cigarette smoking. Another simple example is tea. Some people say that, I'm very much habitual to tea. I drink 10 cups of tea in a day. You should tell them, don't leave tea, but just do one thing. In a week, one day at least, try to have only 2 cups of tea. So what will happen when you tell someone to do change completely, the person won't change, but you slowly, slowly that change can be brought. The same way student coming to the class, late to the class. We have a habit of, while coming to the class, sometimes we can smile, we can tell, you're coming late, okay, we'll clap for him, something like, but not doing subjecting him to some fun or something, right? So for example, unwanted behavior in the student have a habit of nowadays looking into the mobile, Facebook. Is not student, even we all have the habit now. What we can do in the class of 1 hour, we can tell the student, okay, fine, I'll give you 5 minutes to see your mobiles and all. You choose the time whenever you want to see the mobile. So that will invoke good positiveness in the student, right? So this is how the conditioning or the psychological theories can be used to condition the students towards better learning. Human psychology is like our needs are like this. First, it is physiological needs, like I want food, water, shelter, clothing. When these needs are done, then the person goes for safety, like safety needs, personal security, money, enough money, employment, resources. If this is done, then the person goes for love and belongingness, right? Friendship, intimacy, family sense or connection, like that. Or when the person finds out are satisfied with this also, it goes to esteem, rutba, बोलते ना, अरे ये बहुत हम बड़े आदमी है वगैरह वगैरह. So उस जैसा, right? Recognition. And when the person crosses all these levels, he goes to self actualization. Now we are here always, most of us, now we have to reach here, and that is what our goal needs to be. Somebody can even shift, like from physical needs he can directly go to love and belonging, some can directly go to safety needs, and depends. But this is what Maslow have suggested, that human psychological hierarchy is there. So always we should imbibe in the student all these qualities, and we should make them realize what all these things are. If knowledge is not dangerous, then still we use the atomic bombs. So but the atomic bomb used by the America and Japan was in certain conditions, like the Japanese were having this bombarding human bombing on their planes and all that. So what should be the knowledge which is not dangerous? Like the person who made the nuclear bomb, they were intelligent. It is not like they were not intelligent. So this is what, as Madam Sangeeta Madam also correctly said, and which was echoed by other participants like Ajay sir, Surya sir, and Abhimanyu sir, and others also in the chat, that knowledge should be holistic. Now, holistic knowledge is like your mind, body, and spirit. So all should be taught, all should be aligned properly into this. And this is what my family doctor, Dr. Pednekar sir, who is also there, he tells us that any disease which you have is because of your overall thing, your mind, body, your thinking. So same way, I'll say that the knowledge should also be the same way. Like a person who is living in he's a nomadic tribe. So he is nomadic tribe, wo Adivasi hai, wo kahin pe reh raha hai, that is fine. But if he comes and see the city, but again goes back and selects the same life, we can't say that he is illiterate, he does not have knowledge. He's choosing that he will fetch water from the well, he will drink it, he will do normal things. So it all depends on what person wants. I can compare myself with a IIT big professor, right? So in the talk, he was saying that in the morning I just played tennis, and then I'm here, and then I also compared being in a college. Also, I'm also happy. I also go to play to table tennis or badminton. Then I come to the college. Then I come home. So it depends on our level of satisfaction and the use of knowledge as per our understanding, which should be holistic. Now, holistic education, which is the base of national education policy, right? It is a movement in education that seeks to engage all aspects of learner, including mind, body, and spirit. Its philosophy, which is also identified as holistic learning theory, is based on the premise that each person finds identity, meaning, and purpose in life through connections to their local community, to the natural world, and to the humanitarian values such as compassion and peace. So by this, I end my talk. Thank you all. Thank you so much.